Hi everybody, this is Lori at the Calico Cat Quilt Shop in Pipestone, Minnesota, and I had a request uh, asking how to take one of these stars that we made not too long ago in a post and a video and make it into a pot holder. So today I'm going to show you how we would go about that. So we are going to go over here, and I have got my two silver and gold stars, and I've got some more of one of the fabrics. This is what I'm going to use for my backing, and I've got a piece of Insulbright. And so this is a heat reflective type of batting, and if I wanted to, I could also I would use a layer of a cotton batting, or at least a cotton blend, and I could put that on top, but I'm just going to use the Insulbright today. So what I need to do first, I'm going to turn my star over onto the back and figure out a way to measure. And so what I want to do is measure the space inside of the points and see how big of a piece that I want to put on there. And I can always cut it down if I want, but I'm thinking I might be able to get a 5.5 inch piece in there. So I'm gonna cut my Insulbright, and which end do I want to cut off of? I'm not convinced that this is entirely square. It's pretty close. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that. And actually, maybe what I'll do is just cut a strip so that I can do two of them, because I might as well do them both. And these won't be so much pot holders, maybe as mug rugs or something to that effect, but they will be heat resistant. So we've got that. So 5.5 is what I'm gonna do. And let's see how that's gonna work. What I want to do is center it in a way that when I flip it over, I'm not going to see any of that sticking out like this. So I don't want to see that. So I think 5.5 will work okay. So we're going to go ahead and cut the other one. And then I'm going to cut my fabric a 1/2 inch bigger than that, so that I've got a 1/4 inch seam on each side. So that's going to be 6.5. It's going to be a little bit tough to do with a 6-inch ruler. And I'm going to get right into that selvage edge, but that's okay. By the time I get my seam allowance on there, it'll be fine. So I'm going to cut two 6.5 inch squares. Okay, and then I'm going to put my Insulbright on here, and then I'm going to use my iron and press this over. So let me get over here to my iron. And this is going to be the easiest way, because then I know everything will fit just fine. And it's going to be layered in there anyway. So as long as I've got that fairly well centered, just fold it over and press. And I'm not going to worry about the corners for just a moment. I just want to get the sides pressed over. And then I'll show you what we're going to do with the corners. So what I'm going to do is just fold down and then over. And I need to go grab a pin so that that will stay. Okay, so I kind of folded it down at a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to put my pin in from this side. And I'll show you why in a second here. So I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around. It's going to be really hard to see. But you can handle your corners however you want. It adds a little bulk, and so I could trim that down, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. Oops, I did it backwards this time. It probably wouldn't hurt for me to stick a pin in there so that it's in place. Hopefully I can avoid jabbing myself with one. I could use clips, but they're not going to be very practical when I go to put it on the star. I don't think. Okay, last corner. If I'd given myself more than a 1/4 inch seam allowance, that would have made things a little easier too, but I didn't have much more than a 1/4 inch seam allowance on that scrap that I've got, so. So now when I flip this over, all of my pins are going to be in the right spot. And then it's just a matter of centering it on here where I want it so that you aren't going to see any edges. I think that'll work fine. And then I'm going to do my straight ones, my straight edges first, and then worry about my corners. Yeah, could have been just a little bit bigger even, but this will be a nice size, I think. And there's places where there's going to be quite a few layers there. So I'll just find a place that doesn't have quite so many layers to stick my pin through. Like that. And if I wanted to, I could do my corners. I'm just going to leave the corners like that because I think this will be enough to hold everything together until I get it stitched. So I'm going to do the other one real quick here. And then we'll take them over to the sewing machine. The other way that I could do the corners, let's try this and see if it's any easier, is if I fold my corner in first, press that, I'll go around the whole way doing that first, and then fold the straight edge across. Like I said, there's no right way and no wrong way to handle your corners. Just got to deal with them. Get them figured out. Probably takes a little bit more work to get the edges down, but it might make a nicer corner. And I'm going to go across to this side. I didn't leave myself quite a 1/4 inch anymore. So the corners won't be quite as sharp. They'll be a little bit more blunt, but it's the back side anyway, so it's really not going to matter in the end. And that actually worked a little bit better. Because the side staying down holds everything in place, I don't have to pin it. And then again, just centering it. So that you won't be able to see any of that from the front side. That looks pretty good. And actually, with the microwave containers that I use a lot, for instead of an actual pot, this is probably plenty big for a single serve. It all depends on how big your pot is. But yeah, it'll be multi-purpose. And I don't think I'll need to worry about these corners. I think they'll stay down just fine. Okay, so let's go over to the sewing machine. Okay, we are at the machine, and I've gone ahead and put on my walking foot because I'm going through quite a few layers and I don't want to have any trouble with that. And what I decided, I used a silver thread on the top when I put the star together, and I think what I decided is I'm going to use, on this side I'm going to use a color that matches, so kind of a tan color, and on this side, because I don't want to emphasize the stitch lines here, I'm going to use a clear thread, and we're going to see how that works. So I'm going to start on a side, take that pin out. And we're just going to go around and top stitch at the edge. I'm stitching with the bottom side up because I want to make sure I hit all my edges. And it would be really hard to find them if I didn't have that side up. If that's too bright. There, make it a little bit easier to see. And as long as I stay within my 1/4 inch seam allowance, I shouldn't have any problems not catching the underside there. I'm just going to trim my first thread real quick, get it out of the way. And then lock stitch, and there we go. So you can still see that I stitched there, but it's a lot less obvious than it would be if I used not a invisible thread, not a clear nylon. So let's do this one, and then we'll be done. Go. Okay, so now we have 2 of our stars with Insul Bright in there, and like I said, if you wanted to, you could put a layer of cotton blend batting on top so that that was closest to the top surface, and that would absorb some moisture, and then the Insul Bright will be reflective. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.